We really can't say that we haven't been warned about this. Greetings and welcome back to Here's What I Heard. I'm ldghwih, your hostess. Thank you for clicking on my little acre of the internet today. Don't forget, every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Central Time, the Talk to Me America show, where the world wants to know what you have to say. So call me and tell them like it is. Also, please make sure that you support the channel by liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing. It would be the best thing. And of course, a donation would be the ultimate. All my links are below. Click on some of them, will ya? Okay, this week I kind of sort of mentioned that Vincenzo Marinero wanted to do a segment, so I decided to produce one for him. He says, please excuse him, he's not a scholar, but this was something that he had to get off of his chest. So, without further ado, I give you We Were Warned by Rob Pugh, as read by Vicenzo Marinero.
Hey yo, this is Vincenzo Marinero, usually repping for ldghwih and, of course, Richard Zetabago. But today, ldghwih was nice enough to let me use her studio to let you in on some stuff that I think you should hear. Hey yo, let me read this here to you that I got on the Facebook. I'm pretty new to the social medias, but some of this stuff really touches me. It's a long one, so sit back and relax. You'll have to excuse me if I make any mistakes. I'm not the scholar, but I know what I see. Here we go. Hey yo. We were warned, but nobody listened. Hey yo. I'm referring to the warning about how nefarious forces have been planning America's demise for many decades now. Specifically how our once great nation, founded on godly principles by godly men and women seeking true freedom and liberty, would be eventually destroyed from within, ayo, by communism, ayo. In 1958, W. Cleon Skousen, a former FBI employee, published a book titled The Naked Communist. 5 years later, in January of 1963, Albert Sid Herlong, a member of the House of Representatives from Florida, and a Democrat, stood before Congress and listed the 45 current communist goals, which were entered into the official congressional record. Who did that? Who let that happen? What was going on in America in January of 1963? Well, just 6 months earlier, the Supreme Court had rendered its decision that prayer in public schools would be outlawed. In June of 63, the Supreme Court proclaimed that Bible reading in public schools should be done away with. And also, of course, there was some pushback from this. But American Christianity had already started to lose much of its influence, and with the Johnson Amendment entering into the tax code, 9 years prior, many pastors were already beginning to tuck their tails between their legs and remain silent on all things that might be construed as political, As the weaponizing of the IRS begun, World War II was still a fairly recent event, having ended less than 20 years earlier, and we were still mourning the bloody Korean War, which ended just 10 years earlier, leaving 3 million people dead, and Cold War tensions were high. We had seen firsthand the brutal effects of socialism, communism, fascism, and Marxism, Many were warning that although the wars had ended, we still faced the dangers of creeping communism in this country. Yes, we did. But it seemed absurd to most people because surely America would never fall under the tyranny of such an evil, tyrannical ideology. After all, our military heroes in uniforms had just recently fought, bled, and died in foreign lands to put an end to those evil regimes and assure it would never ever happen again. Hey yo! Still, we were warned. Let me share a few of these communist goals from 1963 that I believe have been very effectively accomplished. Among them, capture one or both of the political parties in the United States. Done. Probably from the 60s. Use technical decisions of the courts to weaken basic American institutions by claiming their activities violate civil rights. ACLU? Done. Get control of the schools. Use them as transmission belts for socialism and current communist propaganda. Soften the curriculum. Get control of teachers' associations. Put the party line in textbooks. Of course, don't forget about the teachers' unions that protect it all. Done. Also, infiltrate the press. Get control of book review assignments, editorial writing, policy-making positions. Done. You see who's winning the elections these days. Gain control of key positions in radio, TV, and motion pictures. Have you watched a Marvel film lately? Done. Eliminate all laws governing obscenity by calling them censorship and a violation of free speech and the free press. Done. They're catering this stuff to kids as long... Ed Burt now. Hey, yo, Ed Burt! Break down cultural standards of morality by promoting pornography and obscenity in books, magazines, motion pictures, radio, and TV. Anybody heard the latest from Cardi B? Done. More communist goals. Present homosexuality, degeneracy, and promiscuity as normal, natural, and healthy. Promiscuity, maybe. The rest of it, It may have seemed impossible, but they got that done too, actually. They've infiltrated the churches with that as well, and replaced revealed religion with social religion. In other words, this CRT and the shroomers, as they call it. Discredit the Bible and emphasize the need for intellectual maturity. Done. You ever heard anybody talk about the slavery in the Bible? That's one little piece out of everything else. Not to mention the fact that at the end, we're redeemed if we believe in the Son of God. So, they don't read the whole Bible, and if they do, they use it against you. Hey, yo. Hey, yo. Eliminate prayer or any phase of religion expression in the schools. Hey, yo. Unless it's a religious school. But even then, as we've seen, that one was checked off the list that very year when they did the school prayer thing. It's not against the law, but they sure do discourage it. Discredit the American Constitution by calling it inadequate. Hey, yo. Old-fashioned. Hey, yo. Out of step with modern needs. Hey, yo. And a hindrance to cooperation between nations on a worldwide basis, which we don't need. Hey, yo. Done. Discredit the American founding fathers. Hey, yo, what's that about? Present them as selfish aristocrats who had no concern for the common man. And of course, they're pulling down their statues and convincing everybody that they were nothing but slave owners. So, done. Support any socialist movement to give centralized control over any part of the culture, education, social agencies, welfare programs, mental health clinics, etc. Done. Infiltrate and gain control of big businesses. Oh, that's been done a long time ago. Transfer some of the powers of arrest from the police to social agencies. Done. In fact, if we're not careful, we're gonna have the UN over here. Discredit the family as an institution. Encourage promiscuity and easy divorce. Done. In fact, they've made most of the women win all of these cases. And that hasn't been good for the kids, Emphasize the need to raise children away from the negative influence of parents. Done. Anybody watch 1984? Your kids are getting ready to put your asses in jail for hate speech or wrong think. Think it ain't gonna happen? You just watch. Believe it or not, the communists accomplished pretty much every one of their goals. Which were designed to destroy America from within. And they did it so slowly and so stealthily that nobody really noticed. Some of us did. Those who did and sounded a warning were shouted down as crazy conspiracy theorists and fanatics. God is the only person that we should worry about in this case, in any case. However, so here we are today, scratching our heads and wondering what in the world happened to the country we grew up in. We were warned, nobody listened. Who would have ever believed that the idea of democratic socialism would even be taken seriously in America? But now, according to the polls, which I don't know if you can trust this, but 39% of the American adults said that they would prefer socialism. You know what that means? They don't know what the heck it is. That number jumps to 54% for those aged 18 to 24, the knuckleheads that haven't had life punch them in the head enough times to know better. When I first heard about the idea of the Green New Deal, I thought it was one of the most ridiculous things the leftists had come up with yet. No more vehicles with gas or diesel engines. Imposing a new carbon tax. Yeah, basically we're being taxed on ourselves. We're carbon. Everyone guaranteed a job with a universal basic income. Yeah, like that makes sense. Free college for all. Of course, you know that means indoctrination to the next set of leaders. Free healthcare for all. Right. Been to Canada lately. Elimination of private homes in favor of green multi-unit residential facilities. More public programs eliminating personal or private property. You'd have somebody looking over your shoulder all day long, every day, even when you sleep, even when you fight. Now, we have Klaus Schwab. He looks like a supervillain of the World Economic Forum, and thousands of his minions embedded in every American state and countless cities across the country, stating boldly that by 2030, we will own nothing and we will like it that way. Not this guy. That sounds like communism to me. But again, the idea of American freedom has been so villainized by the left, while communistic ideals have been purposely spoon-fed to our children in our public schools and college campuses for so long. I honestly don't think it's gonna take that long for them to gain complete control. Our young people have been trained to hate their country, their history and heritage, especially if it happens to be white. They've also been trained to believe that God is dead and Christians are hateful bigots. In just the past 2 years, we've seen the destruction and removal of statues and monuments honoring America's historical heroes. Washington, Lincoln. Yet in Seattle, Washington, the statue of the communist dictator Vladimir Lenin remains the pride of their city. Law and order is gone. George Soros selected district attorneys that are turning our criminals loose, and crime is not prosecuted anymore. I should know. Hey, yo. We have the highest rates of violence ever in this country right now, not to mention homelessness, drug abuse, and mental illness, which of course you see that broadcast all over the internet. I almost didn't get on Facebook because everything's so crazy on the internet. Hey, yo. Meanwhile, a full-scale invasion of foreign soldiers is taking place on our southern border. Of course, not all who are entering this country illegally mean to do us harm. But a significant number are coming here just for that purpose. And it doesn't matter if it's just 1%. They say that over 3 million people have came over the border since Biden has been in office. You do the math. I'm not usually like this, but this stuff is not right. We're rolling out the red carpet for these people. Our government is transporting them to cities and towns across America under the cover of darkness so that citizens won't so easily notice. Although they're putting hundreds of them in these little towns, and all of a sudden, there's so many people they can't move around in these places. I've heard the complaints. Once they're settled in, the government welcome wagon, funded with our taxpayer dollars, supplies them with free housing, free food, free healthcare, free education, and cash. And I don't think they gotta pay the taxes either. We've purposely shut down our energy production, and now we must beg our enemies for help. That's actually not true. We don't have to do that. But we got somebody in charge right now that is. Freedom of speech is gone. Not in my case. I'm not gonna give it up, and don't you either. You say what you gotta say. For all practical purposes, because even though we're still able to speak words that defy the regime, few ever will for fear of retribution from friends, family, and neighbors. Well, I ain't got that problem. You don't like it, you can go. There's the door. Or any number of 3-letter agencies that have been weaponized by the globalists. Along with the deliberate destruction of our economy, energy resources, and supply chain, we're also seeing the start of a planned worldwide famine. Farmers are being paid by the government not to plant their fields. That sounds familiar. They've been doing that for years. Millions of chickens and turkeys are being destroyed due to the supposed bird flu outbreak. The banksters are buying up massive amounts of farmland, and the climate change police are calling for the culling of millions of heads of cattle. I think it was that they fought too much. In order to mitigate CO2 emissions, which is actually what the plants and the trees and everything needs to live around here. Bill Gates wants us to eat insects. I don't know who put that nerd in charge. And what's going on with all the mysterious fires at food processing plants throughout the country, all happening just in the past few months. We all know what's been going on. That's why this letter that came to me on Facebook meant so much to me, because it's definitely looking like a problem, a big one. And millions have been forced to take an experimental injection of poison that's been proven now to have over 1,291 adverse side effects. which the snake oil salesman knew about before the jabs were released to the public. Evidence that they hoped to hide it for 75 years. Yes, 1,291 adverse side effects that we know of, yo. Hey, yo. Not the least of which is death. Hey, yo. Watching 25-year-olds have heart attacks, Millions of Americans have been forced to either take those jabs or lose their jobs and sometimes lose their family. Many have lost their lives, others have been forever crippled. Laura the Goddess lost her sister to this mess. May she rest in peace. Hey, yo! The American Library Association's newly elected president proudly proclaims herself a Marxist lesbian. Emily Drabinski, who will take office next summer, has promised to queer the libraries across the country. Expect an exponential growth of drag queen story times coming soon to libraries nationwide. Hey, yo! I still want to know why these people feel so compelled to be near children. You better stay away from my kids. In 2015, the Supreme Court validated homosexual so-called marriage. But that wasn't enough for the powers that control and manipulate American thought. Now, citizens had better be careful what they say and what they think, and they better celebrate sodomy enthusiastically and pridefully, or they may be severely prosecuted for hate crime. In the last dozen or so years, the number of young people coming out of the closet and declaring themselves to be homosexual has skyrocketed. That means they turned it into a fad, yo. This is a direct result of homosexual grooming and the encouragement to embrace all manner of sexual deviancy. Some cases, yeah. I don't agree with that completely. A lot of kids get abused by somebody that they know, so teach them both things. By their teachers, youth leaders, and every area of media, art, and entertainment. Newly brainwashed young people who declare themselves to be homosexual are considered courageous and heroic among their peers. A sexual preference is not a heroic act. Saving somebody's life is. Bringing somebody to Jesus is. They don't realize how horrifically they've been lied to, manipulated, and used as throwaway pawns by sex predators and money grubbers. This letter leaves out a little bit, but it reminds me of all of it. Meanwhile, transgenderism has become the latest hot new trend. Again, the fad. This is pushed everywhere you go. Again, our children are directly targeted by this agenda. And pity the poor soul who refuses to go along with this game of dress up or uses the wrong pronouns. Hey yo, those who do face instant retribution and punishment. All this sexual deviancy is not just happening organically. Hey yo, it's been specifically designed by the LGBTQP+ mafia to indoctrinate and lure young people into sexual activity and greater confusion at the youngest of ages. Again, not just them. Some of the players include the big bully known as the Human Rights Campaign, the taxpayer-funded Planned Parenthood, and even the once wholesome, family-friendly Walt Disney Corporation. I don't believe it was ever wholesome. You know, if you want to talk about somebody that was racist, Walt Disney was pretty bad when it came to the Jews. Anyway, parents who desire to protect their kids from these predators are now labeled domestic terrorists. Hey yo, what's up with that? That's wrong. This is all a part of the plan for the New World Order. Next up, the death of the US dollar and the need for the one world digital currency embedded under the skin. Nah. Those who refuse will be outcast or forced to live in captivity, if they are allowed to live at all. Regardless, the coming Great Reset and New World Order will have to be communist in nature. It will be sold to us as it's been sold to countless billions of naive people in the past as power to the people. But the only ones with the power will be the tyrannical dictators. Hey, yo! The people, rather than being empowered, will lose any last privileges of freedom that they may have ever thought they had once had. George Orwell's book 1984 was required reading when I was in high school, and even before that. I remember I read my mother's copy and she had to read it in high school. I always found it odd that of all the books out there, 1984 was required. Perhaps the globalists wanted us to see what our future held. Remember, these demons always tell us what they plan to do before they go ahead and do it. Just listen to any WEF or Davos meeting. They'll tell you. I doubt Orwell meant the book to be an instruction manual, but that's what it's become. We were warned, but we didn't listen. The author of this piece was Rob Poo, WCN. Have to give him credit. Now, think about this. If your paisans were doing this kind of thing to you or your family, what would you be doing right now? Your other paisans would probably take him for a ride. So why are we tolerating this? I guess it's because he said it's happened so slowly that nobody's noticing until it's gonna be too late. And with this thing coming up here with Ukraine and Russia, it may be already too late. So, make sure you protect your family and you cling to your maker during all of this turmoil, and you should be alright. Hey, ldghwih, what do I do next? Hey, yo, hey!
I do hope you enjoyed my video today. Once again, don't forget, every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, the Talk to Me America show, where the world wants to know what you have to say. So call me and tell them like it is. Make sure to please support the channel once again by sharing, subscribing, commenting, and a donation would be the ultimate. All my links are below. Click on some of them, will ya? Thank you for clicking on my little acre of the internet today. Until next time, AMF!